Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the work session for February 3rd, 2022 to order. We'll jump straight into it with Dr. Spence, the items of information.
Good evening. I'll start with Dr. Whitehead with an update on COVID-19.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have just the slides that we've been reviewing, just for that consistency, to look at the information. I think what you're going to see, even as we move into the first slide, is we're seeing a downward trend in community transmission at this point. And then the next slide showing you the 7-day rolling average, and you can see where our spike through the Omicron section there is on the downward trend as well. And our 7-day rolling average as of this afternoon is 118 cases for the whole county. The next page shows you a breakdown, again, kind of blown out since we've been back from school till today. You can see where we had an upward trend and coming back down. And then the piece that's over on the side shows you from the beginning of data collection on COVID till now. You can see that. And so I kept the next slide in just again as a reference point to show you how this has played out with the South African version of Omicron, and we've had very similar data as far as that spike going a little bit higher than previous spikes that you saw, but then having that downward trend happen pretty steadily and fairly quickly, and so we're seeing that same data. The next couple slides again have small columns on them, but that's where we've been tracking this data this school year, and you can again see the up and down trends in the data that matches everything else. And so primarily just wanting to be able to show that consistency across all the data sources we have. And then moving to the percentage of positive tests as of last week, that had also had a downward trend. This is by week since January 7th. And then our age data still showing that 30 to 39 age group is higher for positive cases in our area for the past week. And then showing you where we are as of the end of the day today with our school data. And again, still seeing the DPH data each week for school-age children, and confirming that our numbers are on track with what we're finding. So
We are on a downward tick.
Yes, sir.
As far as our overall numbers.
Yes, sir.
It's good news.
So.
Any questions for Dr. Whitehead? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bring in Ms. Seals for attendance review.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight I'm here to present the staff attendance for the first semester. And of course, we continue to have absences from COVID. When you look at the number and the percentages by each grade span, elementary, middle school, and high school, we have seen an increase in the percentages of staff members out 6 to 9 days and 10 days or more. However, our attendance rate has stayed approximately the same as prior years. As a matter of fact, in some areas we've been, if not good, as good, or sometimes even better than last year. So we're still maintaining approximately 95% or higher in regards to our attendance rate amongst our staff. However, our attendance has increased in regards to the number of days out, 6 to 9, and we know that is due to COVID cases. What may be playing into that too is some of our vacancies that we have. So that might be also playing into our attendance rate continuing to be higher.
Any questions for Ms. Seals? Thank you, Michelle. All right, now we'll call Mr. Blackerby in. know
They
Mr.
don't.
Gene Barnett.
Yes.
How you doing?
He is,
Pretty good.
Welcome.
he's going to be assuming some of Mr. Salmon's duties with Good Management, so he'll be here to answer any questions and report out on the Good report tonight.
So Steve is still doing the reports, but I'm doing the trip.
Lucky you.
Good.
Well,
What
again,
about Kevin?
Kevin, he took another job,
Okay, well,
so
he's good though.
he's good.
Okay.
Yep. So you got me.
thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Like I said, welcome. Anything we can do, let us know.
Hopefully he reported that we were halfway decent and
Well, remember I had dinner with you for Christmas, and you were very nice.
but hopefully on the backside of that, he,
No, Steve said everybody is just a delight to deal with.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll jump in with the facilities update. The Glynn Academy auxiliary gym or PE addition, we are progressing on schedule there. Still got the target date of a late June, early July completion. At this point, we don't foresee any problems with that. If you've driven around that way recently, you'll notice that the exterior brick is up, starting the roof installation now, and so things are progressing well there. Don't foresee any major issues as we go along. Moving to the East Plus 4 project, so St. Simon's Elementary, same thing. We're progressing well there at this point. We are still on target in December timeframe. We should be completed with plans to move in or occupy the two-story building in January. That would, barring any other problems there. The second floor decking's going on right now. We're still continuing with the steel work. So on schedule at St. Simon's. Golden Isles Elementary renovations is waiting on a delivery date for the kitchen equipment and some other mechanical equipment that's still lingering out there, but it's not holding us up at this point because we're still painting floors and ceilings and lights throughout the building. So work is ongoing there with all trades on site. Needwood Middle, the first wing there, we are kind of in a holding pattern for the next couple of days. Have been all of this week, and we're hopeful that the first part of next week the condensers will arrive, or the heat pump, so we can get those installed and we can get moved out of that. Our penciled in target date right now for making the move is going to be February 18th, which is a teacher work day, and then we have the student holiday on that following Monday. So we are hoping that we can make the move there at that time. Floors are all in, everything's painted, the ceiling grid's in, lights are all in. We're just waiting on the mechanical equipment. At Oglethorpe Point, we had hit a snag, basically a design issue with the ductwork that we had to go back and correct. Mock is in the mechanical contractor is in the process of doing that now. We're by the middle of next week. We hope to have all that complete and have the ceiling grids installed, lights and flooring, which everything's on site ready to go. And target date for moving there is also the February 18th time frame. We'll probably start on the afternoon of the 17th, make the move there, and met with Dr. Wiles, the principal, today, and we'll move to the 500 wing, which is the complete other end of the building. And we have a schedule mapped out so we can complete that before testing, and then move to the next wing. We don't have the mechanical equipment for it yet, but it's not holding anything up because we can still operate the way we are just with the design of the building. So it's not holding us up, and we'll probably be able to get in there on spring break and just replace all the mechanical if it arrives on time. But it's not holding anything up. From a good report aspect, you want me to go through it, or you want me?
Well, I can go through it. So if you look on page 1 at the bottom, in gray, we have awarded several projects, turf projects. So the stadium turf, the Brunswick practice field turf and lighting, the Glynn Academy practice field turf and lighting, and the middle school batting cages. And if you note the completion date to the right there, that is totally complete. The substantial completion will be towards the end of the summer. So then if you go to page 4, we're noting the January receipts. So for January, it's almost at 2.8 million. And if you go to the next page, it shows how we've been trending. And we've been trending the last few months at about 2.5. So we're up about 300,000. So looks like the economy here is going pretty good. I saw, on my way down, I saw a lot of people from the north on the highway coming down, so they must like it here too. And then if you look at page 6, sort of shows how we've been trending based on projection. So we're way above what was projected, and we're even way above what we did last year. So seems like the financial part of things is going well. And then the next page is a SPLOST 4 update for the active projects. And the only thing I need to add, so Mr. Blackerby talked about St. Simon, but for Needwood and Golden Isles, we pushed the end date out to the following summer so that the kitchen work could get done, so that everybody could manage the moves and construction. So just wanted to point that out to you. Other than that, also in your package is a detailed schedule, but I'm sure you guys have seen it many times. So,
Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
all right.
Mike, let's go on down
Vice Secretary,
to
sorry.
I.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Take care.
Have a safe trip.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
We're gonna go to 3I with Mr. Blackerby. That's on the second page.
Yeah, this is classroom furniture for Golden Isles. This is a, I believe there are 2 recommendations there. Yeah. So the first one is Georgia Specialty, and this is for teachers' desk, computer tables, and bookcases. We split the bid packages up into several different categories, trying to get the best pricing we could, and Georgia Specialty in the end was the only one that could offer the computer tables and the desk that we had specified. It's the same computer tables that have been used in the last couple of projects, but we're getting kind of the sister teacher's desks with it, and felt like it was the best quality, but Georgia Specialty was the only one that could provide us a quote for that material.
To give you a general idea how long it would take if you approved it?
We told them we wanted a July 1st delivery for everything. That particular furniture is manufactured either in South Carolina or North Carolina. I believe North Carolina. I actually met with a rep from the manufacturer before we specified it. He talked like there was not going to be an issue. They built it there. He said there was not a supply issue for what they had right now. So we're hopeful if we get it in now that there won't be any issues. We still have all of the existing teachers' desks in the gym, so we haven't thrown anything away or surplus anything. It's still there on site. But we're asking for a July 1st delivery date. But if all this is approved, I'm actually going to tell them that they can, if it's more advantageous for them to do that, to start delivering probably by spring break, because at Golden Isles we'll be able to access those classrooms early on in May, so we could start putting the new stuff in the classrooms at that time. The other recommendation, again, because we split this up, is for, scroll back up to the top. Don't mind. is for the classroom seating, and which includes, as you can see there, includes us, the student desk, student chairs, and teacher chairs. In this particular thing, we did have several vendors that offered pricing for that, but New Idea out of South Carolina was the lowest price on that. Scroll down, I think it's 77 or 77.9. Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Blackerby?
I got one.
Yes.
The middle school batting cages.
Yes.
Can we pour the pads for those now, or do we have to do all that at one time, or what's the plan?
I actually talked to the guy with the netting company that Steve and I had recommended. I cannot remember the name of the netting company at this time, but since they're not going to have the nets till the May, June timeframe, I told him, why don't we shoot for a target date of June, the second week of June, after all the traffic is slowed down, because he's not going to have the netting till then anyway. So if we shot for a target date of the second week of June to have it ready then.
Okay. So they won't be using it this year then, obviously, because of the
No,
netting and the poles?
yeah, that, I don't believe they're going to have, they're not going to have that aspect of it yet. Yeah.
Right.
So no, it would not be ready for middle school season this year.
Okay. Well then, that just hit me. And we can talk to Steve or whatnot, but are we gonna go ahead and put the nets and stuff up and let them sit for an entire year? Steve?
I believe we can put the poles up. I wouldn't probably put the nets up.
That'd be your call, but.
Yeah, but
I mean, that'd be something we wanna think about.
the frames will have to be set, in
Since
place
we're
with the
putting something
slab.
in For a year.
Right, yeah, you're exactly right, yeah.
Just wondering about the, middle school, nets. They said we may not, for the batting cages, we may not have those till June. But my question, follow-up question was, should we not install those until next season so they're not weathered and whatnot? Do we need them in the off-season? Do they use them in the summertime?
We could actually, we were gonna try to get them in before softball.
I got you. That makes sense.
But we may be moving softball back a little bit, so.
But that would make sense for the girls using mowers, thinking about them using both cages or whatnot.
So try to get them in before they started softball.
So that makes sense. I got you. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Blackerby? Thank you, sir. Next, I have Ms. Hayward. Student attendance report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight. I know Mrs. Seals presented an employee report, and so we wanted to be consistent with also offering a report on our student attendance. And I will say COVID is definitely a huge contributor to the number of absences. This is excused and unexcused. I wanted to make sure I preface with that. But one of the things that we've seen in an increase in the excused absences, we believe it ties directly back to how we were delineating our COVID absences from regular absences. So parents now having the ability to test at home and have home tests, we're seeing more parents making that decision versus taking their children to go and actually get actual test results from some of the approved places that we provided. So we're just seeing an increase in that. Also, we're starting to see where just at the high school, we're seeing that as well, just an increase in our overall absences. But again, I think it goes back to how we were documenting our C-19 as qualified present, if you will, for those students where parents are providing actual documented positive cases. But I think also because of the number of home exposures we're seeing as well, that also has had an impact on our overall attendance.
You see anything alarming? I mean, at this point, what about the elementary school level? That's what I get concerned about with all the teachers being out.
Yes, sir.
Kids being out, that type of stuff, as far as a long-term effect, that we may not see for another few years.
I think we're going to see a lot of this for the next 5 years, 5 to 8 years. That's my guesstimate, just because of just the trauma associated with
Right.
COVID, with people losing family members, even with teachers being out and loss of instruction. I think we're going to be spending some time making up. But I know our teachers are working hard, our staff are working hard to
definitely.
ensure
Well,
that our
appreciative of
students.
what we do have, but, I mean, I guess, as we saw, the numbers are ticking down. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
definitely a help.
That is definitely, I look at as a highlight that we're starting to see those numbers go down. And we are seeing that kids are coming to school.
Right.
They're coming to school because of it.
Thank you.
And this is just first semester. So I anticipate that we'll see some different statistics when we come back at the end of the year.
Any questions for Ms. Haywood? We're going to move down to 3H. We have a policy revision.
Yes, sir. I want to thank Mr. Madala. He's been working with me with this particular policy, but going to the legal conference with Phil Hartley, we recognized that our policy JKA, solicitation of students, needed to be updated. Essentially, it covers the protection of our pupils or of our students that aligns the federal guidelines for protection of pupil rights amendment, where parents have to opt in for our students participating in any type of invasive physical examinations to include hearing, vision, scoliosis screening, that any instructional materials that are provided to our students, that parents have access to that, as well as us obtaining permission for parents for any surveys that are done or conducted that would reveal any information about students. As you go down, if you go up, Chris, the other direction, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the proposed policy, and it outlines those items that we would have to receive permission from parents in order to survey. It just provides a little bit more updated language than what we had previously. And so if there are any questions or if there are any, obviously any recommendations on what we can do to add anything to that, we'd like for this to lay on the table for 30 days for consideration.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Page 1 that's labeled as current policy.
Yes, ma'am.
Seems to be something totally different than.
That's exactly
Okay.
right.
So it just, within the same policy section, it's gonna have this new stuff, so
Yes, ma'am.
everything that's in the current policy, will that stay, and what you're showing us will be added, or we're just not gonna have any more of the fundraising and food
That
sales?
fundraising piece is covered in one of our policies. This was actually originally adopted in 1992. And so this proposed policy is the updated version of what policy JKA should involve and require. So it would basically, the proposed would replace the current.
And the current really exists somewhere else and where it
That
should
is
be.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wasn't seeing the correlation between the two at all. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad you asked that question for clarity, but that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Haywood?
Thank you for the work that is so thankless.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for your help. I appreciate you helping us with our policy revisions. It's been very helpful.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all. Good to see everybody.
And now, let's see, Ms. Preston.
I think the first thing I have is the October, November, December financial report, which is not a lot. There was only one budget amendment that affected the overall revenues and expenses in general fund, and that was vocational grants increase 12.6. Year-to-date revenues are 74.3% of the budget, which is on target with last year. Local tax receipts for October, November, and December were $70 million. That's, when taxes are due, that's when we get the money, the bulk of the money. Year-to-date expenses represent 45.9%, and we're 50% through the year. And all of the sales tax collections you've already heard. It's unbelievable what our sales tax is doing. Good stated in our meeting the other day that we'll probably reach the 112 by 4.5 years if we keep on this track. So, the only key thing to look at really in the general fund is, again, we're, saving money left and right because of vacant positions. If you look at the financial report for the general fund, under salaries and benefits, you'll see that we're percentage-wise lagging behind the budget position by almost 2% in salaries and benefits, so. Any questions on the financial report? The other things I have are the certificate for the Board of Education. So to wrap up the science and Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Glynn Academy Science and Sydney Lanier, the board certifies that all bills have been paid, and that's a standard form from the state of Georgia. And that one's for the Science and Sydney Lanier, and then the other one is for the PE roof, re-roof that we did. So I just need to get the board chair signature, superintendent's signatures on those and upload those to get the last bit of funding for those.
You have those?
I do.
We're Tuesday, man.
Gotcha. You see any areas of concern,
For,
money-wise?
heck no.
Okay.
We got money coming out of our ears. I
And
mean,
more to come?
in cabinet, no.
No,
I
that
mean,
million's
it's-
coming. That's
yeah.
refund.
That's in the general fund. I mean, we're saving money, you know, we're collecting at 99-something%, Chapman is, and, well, last year we had all those excess money because of car sales and boat sales.
Right.
But then there's a car shortage now, so I don't know if we'll see that much this year, but, there's just, you know, so many different pots of money. The principals are having a hard time spending it and figuring out what to spend it on, because the federal money that they have, the CARES Act, the Title I carryover, and the LG4 grants, it's all specific to certain things. Well, you know, we've bought Chromebooks out the yin-yang and Promethean boards everywhere, and there's only so many things you can buy it with, so it's crazy. Times are crazy. There's plenty of money to spend, and nobody wants to work.
Okay.
We can spend it on employees, but nobody wants to work.
Nobody wants to work, and that's what we need the most. Hands-on.
Staff.
Which I hear that's pretty.
It's in every industry.
Right. Well, I know, trust me.
Yeah,
Well, on
Even in
another
the
note, it's good to see you here.
thanks.
I'm gonna go to the refresh.
So it's time to refresh the admin-type computers at the schools for the middle schools, Glen Middle, Jamaica, Needwood, and Risley. So the numbers are there, and we use statewide contract pricing to standardize on Dell. And the total of that would be $972, $802.93. There's several different there is a summary of by school if you want to look at it, the different types that we're buying, mainly your classroom PCs, but we're also refreshing Chromebooks that were bought prior to the CARES Act Chromebooks. So when we bought $3.4 million of CARES Act Chromebooks, that didn't include the stuff we already had that was only a year old or 2 years old, and these are actually 4 years old, so we're refreshing those too. And each school is buying 60, is that 60 two-in-ones? For the staff.
I have a question. With the refresh of the computers you did middle schools, would that also include the Glynn Learning Center? Would that staff?
They're on a different rotation, so we do a couple of schools every 4 years.
Every 4?
So this is the middle school turn. Their stuff is 4 years old. We're actually keeping all the monitors, Stephen?
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
The monitors they were offering us were pretty much the same ones we already have. And 9 times out of 10, we don't see warranty-related issues with the monitors. We see monitors knocked off a table, stabbed with a pencil, something that they wouldn't replace anyway. We'd have to buy a new one. And since we're cutting our numbers back as far as physical PCs go, because of the amount of Chromebooks we have now, we'll have spare monitors left over from what we get rid of this summer.
They're also hard to get because of the glass. But anyway, so that is the refresh.
Surplus.
And then we're surplusing the stuff at the existing schools like we do every year. We bid that out, and typically we get like close to, what, anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000.
230.
230. And then the last thing I have is we would like to propose to the board to do retention stipends. So there's been a lot of back and forth between districts and the DOE and the U.S. Department of Education on the allowability of CARES Act funds for bonuses. But they are okay with, if you can prove, which we can on our board reports, that we're losing teachers and bus drivers and bus aides and custodians and food service workers and parapros every week or month, it seems like. You're allowed to use CARES Act to offer retention stipends to them. So if you look at the detail, we would like to do CARES Act money for what they don't frown upon. For teachers, we would like to give them $1,500 in August when they return. And then for the other groups, the really hard to get groups, the drivers, bus aides, custodians, foods workers, and parapros, we'd like to do a monthly supplement of $200 in the middle of the month, February through July, and then a $500 supplement in August when they return. And that is a total of about $2.7 million for that category. And Dr. Spence would like to give the other employees, the existing employees, retention stipends in August of $1,500. And that's anybody except administration. So no directors, no assistant superintendents, no coordinators. It'd be clerical, the food service managers, your SROs, maintenance folks, warehouse folks, mechanics. If you notice, I did the spreadsheet by employee category. Every employee has a category that they fit in, so you'll see by category the different ones that we want to give the stipend to. And if you go to the right, you'll see the ones in the blank. If it's blank, then they're not getting anything. So we would consider them admin.
So the teachers get their stipend in August?
Yes.
If they sign the contract,
If they
and come
sign-
back, we will, and new teachers, we're gonna start, people who are new to the system, we'll have a $1,500 signing bonus for them to come, because a lot of the school systems around us are doing that, and sometimes we lose teachers to that. Let me add this. The reason we broke it down into, like she said, the reason we broke it down into CARES Act money and general fund money is we have to be able to prove that we're having a hard time keeping these employees. And if we can't prove it, then we're gonna have to pay it back. And there's a lot of school systems that are just going out there and throwing money at teachers. That's gonna come out of their general fund if they can't prove that they can't hire these folks. And so we feel like we can prove the ones on the left, but the other folks who we don't have a hard time keeping, we're gonna give them a stipend when they return in August, but we're gonna take it out of the general fund.
Dr. Spence got an email from a superintendent the other day asking for other superintendents to sign a petition that he's sending to the Department of Audits because they're getting written up for doing certain things with CARES Act money that when it originally came out, it was like, you can use it for continuation services, for bonuses, for this, for that. And now they're coming back and saying, no, that's not entirely true. You still have to meet the guidelines of the federal guidelines, and this is not in compliance. And so that's what, when they do that, they call it a question cost, and you end up having to pay it back out of your general fund. So.
What about the substitute teachers and sub-bus drivers? Will they be included in any of these?
Substitute teachers, no ma'am. This is full-time,
Full-time?
or 50%
But we've already given the
employees.
substitute teachers a bonus if they work so much.
They get attendance incentives.
And that stays consistent, that's not going anywhere.
We implemented attendance incentive for them after each semester. If they work more than 50% of the semester, they get, is it 500?
It's either 3 or 5 that they
Yeah,
get.
I'd have to look that up.
So they've got one,
5%?
no,
500.
$500.
Okay.
We've got several incentives going out of the general fund already. Attendance for bus drivers and food service now.
Looking at the data, is it helping?
I mean, it's just so hard to keep bus drivers and custodians. It's
It
really hard.
rewards the ones that come.
And, you know, we actually, last year, we did a salary survey and compared ourselves to other systems, and, you know, we wanted to be in the top 3 in the RESA, and we were in every category. And we gave most of those folks a raise. And then what we found out is the other systems were doing the same exact thing, so we may have to go back again and do the same thing again. We certainly want to pay our employees, and we certainly want to keep our employees. So I think this is one way. And notice that with the custodians and the cafeteria workers and the bus drivers, we're doing it per month. So that,
Right.
because those are the people that leave us sometimes in the middle of the month, so they know the next month they'll get an additional 200 also.
It's interesting to know when you go to leadership things, you find that pay is not the top.
That's right.
It's not the top in any one I've ever seen. And it's like, we just went over this at the hospital with the uppers, and it's nothing. It helps. It's more of a Band-Aid than a fix.
I think there's a lot of Band-Aids happening now.
Yeah, I agree.
Any questions about who's getting a supplement, who's not, or a stipend, who's not, which fund we're coming out of?
For clarification, the teachers aid or paraprofessional, they'll be in the monthly $200?
No, teachers will get the
The
$1,500 in August of next year.
Parapros, yes, parapros,
Paraprofessionals,
yes.
Okay.
bus drivers, cafeteria workers. And again, administration is not, we're not having a hard time finding principals, assistant principals and superintendents and things. We're not having a hard time with that. Any other questions for Ms. Preston? I think that
Thank you,
is
ma'am.
it. Yep. Let's see, Dr. Green.
Dr. Spence, it's not confusing for everybody. I'm not suggesting not do that. I know I'll get at least 20.
Say, sir?
Or more. I'm not suggesting not to give the money because that's not the key. I'm just saying there's other things to look at.
No, and I've heard that from Dr. Simmons at Transportation. I've asked him time, and I said, man, what can we pay our bus drivers to keep them? And he said, it's not always about pay.
There's all kinds of little caveats, but I wouldn't say don't do that.
Right. No.
Sometimes you have to say all of it.
I have 2 items on the agenda. The first one is Microsoft, and this is really just our basic annual subscription to all of our office tools, Word, Excel, Publisher, et cetera, including Azure, our cloud computing services. So it's obviously essential to what we do day to day. And then any questions about the Microsoft renewal?
Remember, we went away from Microsoft for everyone, but we do have some subscriptions left that we
Yeah.
use in there.
And I mean, obviously, Word, that's just day-to-day basic function. We need that. Azure is our cloud computing space and services, and so it provides additional function and storage space for a lot of what happens digitally. So those are just basic services that we can't do without. And then the second item, if you all don't have any questions about Microsoft, it's Lego education. Last summer, there were some essential learnings that we had from offering summer enrichment. One, with the students who actually showed up, we found that the STEM and STEAM opportunities provided were extremely engaging, and students loved them, and principals loved offering them. Our numbers were still significantly low if you look at enrollment at schools. So, for example, middle schools, there were probably a total of 200, and that's lofty, 200 students at all middle school sites for our STEM enrichment. So we wanted to go this year with something more familiar. Lego education has been around for a long time. Legos have been around for a long time, but K-8, it provides continuity. It allows us the opportunity to start a building point in elementary where students just manipulate and teachers use the curriculum to immerse students in basic STEM and STEAM ideas. So essentially like building a city, discussing basic physics principles like force and motion. We didn't purchase, or we don't want to purchase in this particular quote, the digital aspect for elementary because we wanted it to just be the basics with Lego, spatial and computational learning, as well as critical thinking. On the middle school side, though, the digital component is a part of it, the coding and the programming and building students who are thinking more in the future. So a lot of the concepts with Lego education, it's about robotics and it is about coding and programming, but it also is about thinking ahead, like future cities and what it takes to be more energy efficient. And so a lot of it really is promoting STEM and STEAM, but also increasing engagement with something familiar, to be honest with you. The number looks expensive, but the Legos are reusable. We believe that we got a quote for enough Lego kits for the summer and then also going into the school year in our summer, in our science classes.
So she mentioned the elementary portion of it not having the computer, the technology piece included. So the elementary piece, it would be the Legos, which students, which children love. You know, they can just about do anything, but they're given task cards, and there's different tasks or different challenges for them to complete, and they have to do with math and reading and science and different curriculum areas to tie that all in together. So, and the purpose of our summer academy, when we offer and when we're going to introduce these, if approved, would be to help extend that learning into the summer for our students. And last year, you know, even though our middle and high schools, in elementary school, we had pretty good participation considering COVID was around. We had almost close to 400 in elementary school attending. So, you know, we want to increase that number as well. So,
This is coming out of CARES Act, not the general fund.
Yeah.
Any questions for Dr. Green and Ms. Miller?
And our hopes are definitely to start building some clubs. One thing that's really popular outside of this area is first Lego League, which we probably used to do, as well as Lego Robotics. And so we want to get kids back into competing. I had an AP make a very valid point, you know, in the digital age and virtual education age, we got to start bringing back experiences that say kids, school is fun and it adds value. What can I get at school that I can't get at home? And so we're thinking like that with a lot of the programming we're trying to bring.
Thank you. The final thing I have is a memorandum of understanding with Coastal Pines Technical College. It's basically the same thing we've signed in the past, and where they either send teachers to GICA or to Glynn Academy, or either they train our teachers, and our teachers teach the class, but it gives our students an opportunity to get college credit through Coastal Pines Technical College on our campus. So, any questions on that? Sounds good. That's growing, by the way. That 4 or 5 years ago, there wasn't a whole bunch happening, but ever since our teachers started getting certified there and bringing it back, like I think we have 3 classes that will be at Glynn Academy next year that are Glynn Academy teachers teaching a college class for college credit through Coastal Pines. That's starting to grow a little bit. Brunswick, because they're right across the street from the college, it's kind of a little more difficult to get that happening. Yeah, it is. That is all I have, Chairman Mansell.
Okay, any other questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for land, legal, and personnel.
Yes, sir.
I make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Gibbons,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Sams. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. You want me? That's at 5:44. You want me to call you from back there? I entertain a motion to go back into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sams,
Second.
second by Ms. Gibbons. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 at 6:37. Real quick, I did want to, I should have told everyone from the beginning, but we had a few absences tonight. Mr. Halsey was via telephone. He is on a chaperoning for the school for drama kids for 4,000 kids in Columbus, so bless him. And Mr. Edgy had a prior engagement, family engagement that he's at, and unfortunately Dr. Jurgen lost his grandmother, and they bless you, buried her today. So our condolences are with the Jurgen family. So with that being said, I'll entertain some recommendations from Dr. Spence.
First, I would like to recommend that you accept the hire of Chris Griner as our new Chief Financial Officer.
Got a motion on the...
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Medalla, second by Ms. Gibbons. Any discussion on the new hire? All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Second, I would like to ask that you accept the resignation of Coach Sean Pender as the head football coach at Brunswick High School. Resignation
Okay, that's
of Coach Sean Pender as the head football coach at Brunswick High School.
Resignation.
We got it. All right.
I'll make the motion that we accept his resignation.
All right. Motion by Ms. Gibbons,
Second.
second by Ms. Sams. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. I do want to thank Coach Pender for the things that he has done for our school system and for Brunswick High and the football program. We definitely has left it in a better spot than it was in the past, and we do appreciate his family and the sacrifices that they've made and the devotion that they dumped into Brunswick High, and we do wish him and his family the best as they move forward. So if you're listening, Coach, we do appreciate it, and good luck to you and your family. So thank you.
And finally, I would like to recommend that we hire Garrett Grady as the new football coach at Brunswick High School.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Mr. Medalla, second by Ms. Gibbons. Any discussion? All those in favor? The motion passes unanimously 4-0.
That's all I have, Chairman.
I'll also entertain, well, no, we're not doing that. We'll do it next time. Okay, well, congratulations to Coach Grady as well. He's got big shoes to fill, but he's been a part of the program for a while, and really good to the kids, and he and Miss Erica will definitely be a great addition to the helm, and we do appreciate him stepping up, and we appreciate the other folks that did apply, and we do wish the Gradys all the best of luck. Coach Waters, if they need anything from us or we can do anything for their support, please let us know. So good luck to him, and go Pirates. Anything else?
Pirates.
That's all I have.
All right. Well, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Oh, I do want to say one thing. Sorry. Just a reminder of, we do have some schools doing this correctly. It's called First of First, and it's Congressman Buddy Carter is putting together some love for first responders, and it is a opportunity for folks to write some Valentine's cards for the first responders here locally and around the region, and those will be going out. If you can have them done by February the 9th, you can return those to First of the First, and that's care of Congressman Buddy Carter, 6602 Abercorn Street, Suite 105B, and that's Savannah, Georgia 31405. So again, that's writing Valentine's Day cards to our first responders and letting them know we appreciate all that they do. So thank him and his group for putting that together, and we appreciate them allowing our schools and our kids to be a part of that as well. So thank you very much. All right, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibbons. Second by Mr. Medalla. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0 at 6:42. Thank y'all very much.